Today, we're going to explore the science of exercise not just for building strength or losing weight, but for optimizing your health and extending your lifespan. Research is clear. Certain types of exercise have powerful effects on your brain, heart, hormones, and overall resilience. In this talk, I'll break down the most effective forms of movement, explain why they work at the biological level, and give you a framework you can use to improve both your physical and mental health for years to come. Resistance training is one of the most powerful tools we have to support not just muscle growth but overall metabolic health. When we engage in resistance exercise, whether that's lifting weights, using resistance bands, or performing bodyweight movements, we send a powerful signal to our muscles, bones, and nervous system that they need to adapt. This adaptation leads to increased muscle fiber size, improved neuromuscular coordination, and greater strength. But the benefits go far beyond aesthetics or physical performance. Muscle is a metabolically active tissue, meaning it consumes energy even when you're at rest. The more lean muscle mass you have, the higher your basal metabolic rate tends to be, which can help regulate body composition and support healthy weight management over time. On a cellular level, resistance training increases glucose uptake into the muscle cells through both insulin-dependent and insulin-independent pathways. This is crucial for metabolic health because it improves insulin sensitivity and reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes. Each time you contract a muscle under load, you stimulate GLUT4 transporters to move glucose from the bloodstream into the muscle. This effect is so powerful that even a single session of resistance exercise can improve blood sugar regulation for up to 24 to 48 hours afterward. This means that for people concerned about blood sugar spikes or metabolic disorders, incorporating resistance training into their routine can act almost like a prescription for better glycemic control. Resistance training also supports hormonal health. It leads to acute increases in hormones such as testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1, all of which play critical roles in muscle repair, bone density, and overall vitality. While these hormonal spikes are temporary, when resistance training is performed regularly, the body becomes more efficient at producing and utilizing these anabolic hormones. This contributes to better recovery, improved mood, and greater energy levels throughout the day. Additionally, resistance exercise stimulates the release of myokines, signaling molecules released by muscle tissue, that have anti-inflammatory effects and communicate with organs like the liver, brain, and immune system to promote whole body health. Bone density is another major area positively impacted by resistance training. Mechanical loading of the skeleton during exercises like squats, deadlifts, or even weighted carries stimulates osteoblast activity, which helps to maintain or even increase bone mineral density. This is particularly important as we age because it reduces the risk of osteoporosis and fractures, which can significantly impact quality of life and longevity. From a brain perspective, resistance training activates motor neurons and strengthens the communication between the nervous system and muscles. This neuromuscular connection not only improves strength, but also enhances balance and coordination, lowering the risk of falls and injuries. Moreover, resistance training has been shown to increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, a molecule essential for neuroplasticity, learning, and memory. This means that lifting weights can literally rewire your brain for better cognitive function. When programming resistance training for overall health, it's important to focus on compound movements that work multiple muscle groups. Exercises like squats, push-ups, rows, presses, and deadlifts. Performing 2 to 4 sessions per week, using loads that allow you to complete between 6 and 15 repetitions per set with good form, is generally sufficient for most people to build strength and muscle while still allowing recovery. Consistency over time is the key, as the benefits of resistance training accumulate gradually but compound into significant long-term improvements in health span. Zone 2 cardio refers to a level of aerobic exercise that is performed at a moderate intensity, typically around 60–70% of your maximum heart rate. This is the effort level where you can still carry on a conversation, but would rather not speak in full sentences for long periods. It's often described as comfortably hard. Physiologically, Zone 2 training targets a very specific metabolic pathway. It maximizes the ability of your cell's mitochondria to use fat as fuel while producing energy efficiently. Mitochondria are often called the powerhouses of the cell because they convert oxygen and nutrients into ATP, the energy currency that every cell relies on. By training in Zone 2 consistently, you expand the number and efficiency of your mitochondria, which has profound effects on endurance, energy metabolism, and long-term health. From a cardiovascular standpoint, Zone 2 cardio improves stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped by the heart with each beat, allowing your heart to deliver more oxygen, rich blood to working muscles with less effort. This leads to a lower resting heart rate and better heart rate variability, both markers of cardiovascular health and autonomic nervous system balance. It also increases capillary density in muscle tissue, meaning you grow more small blood vessels to deliver oxygen, which allows your muscles to sustain activity for longer periods without fatigue. This improved oxygen delivery doesn't just benefit athletic performance, but also supports everyday energy levels and recovery. At the metabolic level, training in this zone builds your ability to oxidize fat at higher intensities, sparing glycogen for when you really need it, like during sprints or high-intensity efforts. People who train only at very high intensities often neglect this fat oxidation pathway, leading to quicker fatigue and more reliance on glucose, which can cause blood sugar swings. Zone 2 work acts as a base that supports all other forms of training, making you more resilient during both exercise and stressful daily events that require physical exertion. Zone 2 cardio also has major effects on longevity and metabolic health. Mitochondrial dysfunction is one of the hallmarks of aging and is implicated in conditions like cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disorders, and type 2 diabetes. By improving mitochondrial efficiency and density, Zone 2 training helps slow down some of these aging-related declines. It has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, lower fasting glucose, and reduce blood pressure, all of which lower the risk for chronic disease. In terms of brain health, moderate intensity aerobic exercise boosts cerebral blood flow, supporting neurogenesis and synaptic plasticity. This means it helps create new neurons and strengthen neural connections, processes that are critical for memory, focus, and cognitive resilience as we age. The rhythmic, sustained nature of Zone 2 cardio also engages the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting a state of calm and reducing overall stress reactivity. Many people report that their best ideas and clearest thinking come during or after these steady state sessions because of the combination of increased blood flow to the brain and the release of mood, elevating neurochemicals like dopamine and serotonin. For practical application, the ideal way to train in Zone 2 is to use a heart rate monitor and target the range of roughly 60–70% of maximum heart rate, which for most people will feel like a brisk walk, light jog, cycling, or using a rowing machine at a pace that keeps you just slightly out of breath but still conversational. Training sessions should last between 30 and 60 minutes, performed 2 to 4 times per week. The goal is consistency rather than exhaustion. Over time, you will notice that you can go faster or further at the same heart rate, a sign that your mitochondria and cardiovascular system are adapting and becoming more efficient. High-intensity interval training, often called HIIT, is one of the most efficient ways to improve both aerobic and anaerobic capacity as well as mitochondrial health. This type of exercise involves alternating short bursts of near maximal effort with periods of rest or low-intensity activity. The key physiological mechanism at play here is that those short, intense intervals place a very high demand on the muscle cells, forcing the mitochondria to work at their maximum capacity. Over time, this stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, which means the creation of new mitochondria. More mitochondria mean a greater ability to produce energy, tolerate stress, and recover quickly, not just during exercise but in daily life. It has been shown to significantly increase VO max, which is a measure of the body's ability to utilize oxygen during exercise and is one of the strongest predictors of cardiovascular health and longevity. People with higher VO max scores tend to live longer and have lower risks of metabolic and cardiovascular disease. The repeated stress of short, intense intervals pushes the heart to pump more blood per beat, strengthens the vascular system, and improves oxygen delivery to tissues. At the same time, the recovery intervals train the body to clear metabolic byproducts like lactate more efficiently, which helps you tolerate higher levels of exertion without feeling exhausted as quickly. One of the most interesting aspects of high-intensity intervals is their effect on fat, which muscle fibers. These fibers are responsible for explosive movements like sprinting or jumping, but they tend to atrophy more quickly as we age. By recruiting these fibers through maximal or near-maximal efforts, it helps preserve their size and function, maintaining power, speed, and overall athleticism even into later decades of life. This is important not only for sports performance, but also for activities of daily living that require strength and agility, like quickly getting up from a chair or preventing a fall. From a metabolic perspective, it increases insulin sensitivity and glucose uptake into the muscles to a remarkable degree. Research shows that even a single HIIT session can improve glucose regulation for up to 48 hours. Over time, this contributes to lower fasting blood sugar, improved lipid profiles, and a lower risk of metabolic syndrome. Additionally, it has been linked to favorable hormonal changes, including increased growth hormone release and catecholamine production, which help mobilize fat stores for energy. It also has powerful effects on the brain and mood. The high levels of effort required activate the sympathetic nervous system, which primes the release of neurochemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine. These chemicals increase alertness, focus, and motivation, not just during the workout, but for hours afterward. There is also evidence that HIIT boosts levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which supports neuroplasticity, learning, and resilience against cognitive decline. Some studies suggest that HIIT may be particularly effective at stimulating BDNF compared to moderate intensity exercise because of the greater metabolic demand and stress signals sent to the brain. A practical way to incorporate HIIT into a weekly routine is to perform it 1 to 3 times per week, depending on your overall training volume and recovery capacity. A classic approach is to perform intervals of 20 to 60 seconds of near maximal effort, such as sprinting, cycling, or rowing, followed by 1 to 2 minutes of active recovery at a very light pace. Repeating this cycle for 15 to 20 minutes can produce measurable gains in cardiovascular fitness in just a few weeks. The key is to go hard during the work intervals, but not so hard that you cannot maintain good form or complete all the rounds. Over time, you will find that your ability to tolerate intensity improves and your recovery between intervals becomes faster, which is a strong marker of improved cardiovascular and mitochondrial health. Mobility work is one of the most underrated yet essential components of a long-term health and fitness plan. Unlike flexibility, which refers to the passive lengthening of a muscle, mobility is about having active, controlled movement through a joint's full range of motion. It combines strength, flexibility, and motor control, allowing you to move efficiently and without pain. Over time, lack of mobility can lead to compensatory movement patterns, excessive stress on tissues, and eventually injury. Regular mobility practice helps maintain joint integrity, prevents stiffness, and allows for better performance in all types of physical activity, from resistance training to cardio to daily tasks like bending, reaching, and twisting. On a physiological level, mobility training helps maintain the health of articular cartilage, the smooth tissue that cushions joints and allows bones to glide over each other with minimal friction. Cartilage doesn't have a direct blood supply, so it relies on movement to receive nutrients through synovial fluid. When you take joints through their full range of motion, you help circulate this fluid, delivering oxygen and nutrients to cartilage and removing metabolic waste. This is one of the main reasons mobility work is protective against joint degeneration and conditions like osteoarthritis. Mobility exercises also improve proprioception, which is your sense of where your body is in space. This is critical for balance, coordination, and injury prevention. When joints can move freely and you have good control over those movements, your brain receives clear feedback from the muscles, tendons, and joint receptors, allowing you to react quickly and efficiently. This reduces the risk of falls, sprains, and other common injuries, especially as you get older. Another key benefit of mobility work is its ability to reduce muscular imbalances and improve posture. Modern lifestyles, which often involve long hours of sitting, can lead to shortened hip flexors, rounded shoulders, and a stiff thoracic spine. These imbalances place stress on the lower back, knees, and neck, leading to pain and dysfunction. Mobility drills such as hip openers, shoulder dislocates, and thoracic spine rotations counteract these postural issues by lengthening tight tissues and strengthening the muscles that stabilize joints in optimal positions. The result is more efficient movement patterns, less joint strain, and greater comfort during both exercise and daily life. From a nervous system perspective, mobility work also helps regulate muscle tone by activating the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. Slow, controlled movements combined with focused breathing can downregulate excessive tension in overactive muscles and improve the brain's communication with the muscles you want to activate. This leads to better motor control and a smoother recruitment of muscle fibers during strength or power exercises. In other words, mobility training doesn't just improve range of motion, it improves how effectively you can use that range. A practical approach to mobility work is to integrate it into your warm-ups, cool downs, or even as a stand-alone session on recovery days. Dynamic mobility drills, like controlled articular rotations CARs, are effective for preparing joints for more intense activity because they stimulate synovial fluid circulation and wake up the nervous system. For areas that tend to be chronically tight, such as hips, shoulders, and ankles, dedicated mobility sessions of 10 to 15 minutes can make a noticeable difference over time. Consistency is more important than intensity here. Daily or near daily practice produces the best results. Combining mobility training with strength work is particularly effective because loading the joints through full ranges of motion, think deep squats, overhead presses, and lunges, helps solidify those gains and make them functional in real-world scenarios. Daily movement is one of the simplest yet most powerful levers you can pull to optimize brain function, mood, and overall mental well-being. Unlike structured exercise sessions, daily movement refers to the consistent, low-intensity physical activity you do throughout the day. Walking, stretching, standing, climbing stairs, or even light physical chores. This constant movement keeps your body and brain engaged in a way that supports neurochemistry, hormonal balance, and emotional regulation. Humans evolved to move frequently throughout the day, not just in short bursts of intense exercise, and modern sedentary lifestyles create a mismatch between what our biology expects and how we actually live. This mismatch can negatively affect energy, focus, and mental health, which is why integrating more movement across the day is so beneficial. On a neurological level, regular low-intensity movement increases blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to neurons and glial cells. This helps maintain healthy brain metabolism and promotes the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, a molecule critical for neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, form new connections, and repair itself. Increased BDNF levels are associated with improved learning, memory, and cognitive resilience, meaning you literally build a more adaptable brain when you move consistently throughout the day. Movement also regulates key neurochemicals that influence mood. Activities like walking stimulate the release of serotonin and dopamine, neurotransmitters involved in feelings of well-being, motivation, and reward. This is one reason why even a short walk can dramatically improve mental clarity and reduce feelings of stress or anxiety. Low-intensity movement also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body after stress and lowers cortisol levels. Over time, this creates a more balanced stress response and makes you more resilient to psychological challenges. Daily movement has another powerful effect. It resets your circadian rhythm by exposing you to changing light conditions and stimulating the muscles and joints that feed back signals to the brain about time of day and energy requirements. Morning walks, in particular, help anchor your biological clock, improving sleep quality and wakefulness at the right times. Better sleep leads to better emotional regulation, sharper focus, and greater overall productivity. In terms of metabolism, spreading movement across the day prevents long periods of sedentary behavior, which have been linked to insulin resistance, impaired fat metabolism, and increased risk for cardiovascular disease. Light activity after meals, such as a 10-minute walk, has been shown to significantly reduce postprandial glucose spikes, which supports stable energy levels and prevents the mid-day crash many people experience. This means that daily movement is not only good for your mind, but also acts as a powerful tool for blood sugar control and metabolic health. Practical ways to incorporate daily movement include taking short walking breaks every hour, using stairs instead of elevators, standing while talking on the phone, or doing light stretching or mobility exercises during work breaks. If you work at a desk, aim for a few minutes of movement every 30 to 60 minutes to counteract the negative effects of prolonged sitting. Walking meetings, morning sun exposure walks, and evening strolls are all simple ways to make movement part of your lifestyle, rather than something you need to plan around. These micro movements add up, improving circulation, joint health, and mental clarity, and complement structured exercise sessions by keeping your system in a state of gentle, ongoing activation.